Good morning to all of you. Welcome back for the series 2 of the LEAP lecture series, the first of series 2. Good morning, Ashok Kumar. Hanu K. Rao, good morning. Madhavi, hi, good morning. Ramesh, good morning to you. Hi, Lakshmi, good morning. Welcome you all. Vamsi, Neeraj Soni, hi Dheeraj, good morning to you. Maul Rao garu, good morning. Hi DP, good morning to you, welcome. Hi Pradeep. Hi Sudhar. Abdul Kalam, hello, good morning. Hi Subhash, Kalai Vanakkam. Arbaz Parvez. Hi Satyapal. Srinivas Gupta garu, good morning. Vanuteja, good morning to you all. Hi Anup, good morning, welcome back. Hi Venkat Vijay. Vinod Kumar, Rao garu, Manoj Kant, Veera Reddy, Nishant Agrawal. No, I am using old method only, using camera, because yesterday I had audio problems with headphones. And good morning, Banteja. Unni Krishnan. Sridhar Babu, hi, good morning. Rohit Potu, yeah, good morning. Rohit Chepuri, Venkatesh Babu, Manoj Gotwal. Will start in 2 minutes. Satish Bhatt, Krutard Pathak, Santosh. Good morning to you all. Hi Durga Prasad from Kakinada, welcome to you. If you could make it, I am happy. Madhu Reddy, Asad, Bhagwan, Pooja Pohankar. Hi Sandeep. Yesterday's video, we'll try to get it. Jahir Hussain. Everyone, whoever has given the report, will give the certificate, please. I mentioned in the group also. Hemant Reddy garu, good morning. Venkat Rao, Pallavi. Mahesh Taksale, Arvindan, Vaishali Nikam. Good morning to you all. Varshit Valala, Srinu Atluri, Kuddus Abdul, Naresh Chari, Venkat Rao. Hi Tamil Selvan, good morning. KGK garu, namaste, welcome. Good morning to you all. So we are starting now. So today is the first topic of the series, that is waterproofing and weatherproofing, which is a very important subject as far as built environment is concerned, and probably most ignored subject. So today we'll be talking about these two aspects in addition to others. So the overview of my topic is introduction and about waterproofing methods and details, and types of different details, weatherproofing, and we'll talk about construction joints, and we'll talk about expansion joints. So this is the overview of my talk today. So we'll move on. Yeah, humans need clothes like warm clothes, thermal clothes, raincoat, different coats we wear. And why not this same thing for the buildings also? And structures also need, like humans, water and weatherproofing actually. So humans need water to live and structures fight water to survive. So this is the quote by me. When I am preparing this presentation, I got this thought. Yes, we need water to live. Without water, a human being can't survive more than maybe 2 days or 3 days. But the structures fight every day against water for their survivals, that is durability. So one way is to give water free passage to reduce attack and structures. This is another method I followed in one of the projects. That means instead of fighting the water, show its honorary exit from the structure. That means drainage. So that's what I'm showing here. Allow the water to flow so that it won't attack our structure. So don't build the pressure, relieve the pressure. This is another method of protecting structures from water attack so that structures will survive. So what is waterproofing actually? Waterproofing is a treatment to the structure, and waterproofing is a protection to the structure and to prevent the contact of water, moisture, vapor or any other chemicals also. So because structures are in contact with water when we have the foundation, we can't build any structure without foundation. So the foundation needs to be protected from these attacks like water, moisture. Above ground, it is moisture and vapor. These are the possible things for which we have to give coating to the structure, waterproof coating to the structure or protective coating. So why waterproofing? To prevent water percolating concrete or any structural element as it is porous, mainly because concrete is porous and concrete is always reinforced, and reinforcement needs protection from corrosion, from the exposure to the atmosphere. So we have to have this waterproofing layer barrier for the structure. So please, people think that waterproofing is for preventing water to enter. No, for preventing water to percolate the concrete. Let us all remember. And to maintain cover for normal exposure condition. This is another reason. That means if we don't do waterproofing, the cover to reinforcement, particularly in retaining walls and in the foundations and in slab on grade, the cover has to be increased. Let us remember this. Irrespective of water table, we have to increase this water cover and prevent corrosion of reinforcement steel. That is another reason, because without waterproofing, the reinforcement will corrode. Whether we are able to see or not, it will be corroding inside. So we require waterproofing barrier. And for the exposed structures above ground, from the atmospheric humidity or vapor, also and rain, we need the water barrier for the structure and enhance the durability of the structure. This is another important thing. Waterproofing will be a protective coat for the structure above ground, so that it will prevent the chemical attack on the structure and decay in the concrete or reinforcement due to corrosion. And maintain structural capacity. This is another important thing because without waterproofing, as I explained always, that the particularly footings will have the tension in the bottommost layer, and if we are doing design as per the limit state, we are allowing cracking. When we are allowing cracking, because we are disturbing the ground, natural ground profile, we are cutting for the pit, for the foundation pit. Then the water will stay there. Whatever rainfall we have in India, we have a good amount of rainfall in almost all the region. And then that water staying below the footing will cause corrosion to the reinforcement because of the cracking that we are allowing in the cover portion. So this is very, very important point. So we need to have waterproofing. Next is reduce the long-term maintenance So this is main point, like structures need maintenance, as I always say, and to reduce that maintenance, it is better to have protective coating or waterproofing barrier. So water penetration, how it happens? We'll have honeycombs, sometimes very fine pores, shrinkage cracks, we have construction joint, we have expansion joints. So these are all the causes where water can enter into the structure. So we have to take precautions to treat the structure for all these reasons. And the penetration to concrete due to capillary action, that is the pores in the concrete is porous, concrete is not impervious. So to prevent the water to penetrate through capillary action, we have to have a water barrier. And next is the hydrostatic pressure forces water through pores. Even if it is not capillary action, sometimes the hydrostatic pressure also causes this penetration. Thanks to my friend engineer Bhimrao, who is a consultant from Hyderabad, after listening to my talk on RCC structures where I mentioned about waterproofing to the footings, he has shared photographs of a 25-year-old structure which is dismantled, and a photograph of footing for which building the water table was 200 meters below ground level, and there is a corrosion in reinforcement bar despite good concrete. You can see these pictures. So here you can see this is the rebar, and footing bottom is this. You can see the contact with the ground soil here. So there was a extensive corrosion. I'll show you closer pictures of the, so you can see from this concrete you can make it's a good concrete. It's not a very bad concrete, but still the rebar inside has started corrosion. So this bar you can see particularly, this is badly corroded. So this is what I always say, because we can't see the condition of reinforcement below the footing, it is very difficult to assess the life of the structure, and this can cause a lot of distress in the structures. So that is why I always say that below the footings, as we can see, there is no visible waterproofing on below the footing here. And those days, particularly those days, they were all depending on good concrete only and no waterproofing. So this is a good example I can quote for putting waterproofing layer below the concrete. Yeah, concrete, we think that concrete is watertight. No, not in the long run. It has porosity. So next big source of dampness in the structure is toilets, as we all know. So toilets need good waterproofing treatment. So what are all the causes? We have pipe penetration. Here we have the pipes embedded into the blockwork or concrete, and we have mortar joints in the bricks. That is another reason through toilets which can penetrate into the structure. And these are the nani traps that we put in the floor drain, and joints between the vertical plaster or tiles and the horizontal, and form ties here, and the joints in the ventilator, and top wall joint between the structure and the wall, and we have a honeycombing in the concrete, and we have floor cracks, floor joint separation. So these are the so many causes that can, because toilet is an area where you have everyday exposure to dampness, water. So we have to treat these toilets properly. So that's why I'm giving more details of the toilets. So even if you see most of the toilets, you will see ceiling peeling off, ceiling paint. I don't know whether you observed or not. It will be corroding because of the vapor. Hot water is used in the toilets and in the bathroom wet areas. So you will be seeing the peeling of the paint. That is mainly due to continuous exposure to vapor in bathrooms. So we need to give a treatment to the, and another important thing in the toilets is exhaust, because hot air always stays. If you don't provide the exhaust at the top, hot air will stay and it will be continuously attacking the paint and it will be peeling off. So that is one main reason why we have to have exhaust in the toilets that will take away the vapor out quickly, so that our protection paint also is secured. Next is the where to apply waterproofing. This is a big question I always face. I keep arguing with engineers. Some people say that suppose you have a retaining wall, rear side, that is positive side, wherever water comes in contact with the structure, that side only we should provide the waterproofing, please. Negative side, please don't do that. Opposite of the water side, there is no point in doing waterproofing because structure is already affected. If you allow water to enter into the structure, the very purpose of waterproofing is lost. And doing waterproofing on negative side, the name itself says negative. Negative side waterproofing is only cosmetic, and it will in fact it will deny you to know exactly where the dampness or seepage is there. If you do positive side, if there is a seepage, you can see where the seepage is occurring exactly and repair structure and repair the waterproofing behind the structure also. We have done it outside after construction of retaining wall also. We have created membrane behind the retaining wall. And blind side, that is another method of application. Actually blind side is positive only, but suppose we have a raft foundation or footing concrete, and before pouring of the footing concrete, before placing the reinforcement, we'll apply the waterproofing membrane to the PCC. So PCC surface has to be finished smooth, and apply this membrane on the PCC. That is called blind side application. And then put the protective sheet, bubble sheet or anything, bubble wrap, and then put the reinforcement and the concrete. Next is the toilet's interior side and exterior terrace. So these are all the applications where we go for waterproofing. Next is the sheet membrane, systems of waterproofing. What are all the types? One is the sheet membrane, the other is fluid applied membranes, that is fluid state which will set quickly and form a membrane. Cementitious waterproofing, not very good, but it can act as a protective coat, that's all. And then flexible cementitious coatings. So that also you can mix the cementitious with the polymer and apply, that is a flexible cementitious coating. Next is the crystalline waterproofing. Crystalline waterproofing is not a membrane, but actually it will make the cover portion in the concrete impervious, less porous actually, that's all. So it can be a secondary waterproofing only, it cannot be the primary waterproofing. Primary waterproofing is always accessible to whoever is talking about accessibility for retaining walls behind. As per IS code, you have to leave at least 1.2 meters clear gap between, even to put the shuttering. So if you are doing any retaining wall without shuttering, that means facing the rock concreting, then do a blind side. That means apply to the rock the waterproofing, put a protective sheet, and then put the reinforcement and concrete. Please remember, don't find any reason for not doing waterproofing on the positive side. So crystalline waterproofing is a secondary method, and flexible cementitious coatings is also second option actually. First option is proper membrane, polymer based membranes. So now we'll go into typical history, like olden days, how people used to do waterproofing. You can see here, this is a terracotta tiles with lime mortar. That was the waterproofing done olden days. And then we used to have brick jelly. This is weatherproofing. Then we used to have bricks or tiles laid with mortar, lime mortar. And this is Madras terrace. So you have the wooden rafters, resting on wooden beam. And then we used to have the tiles or brick with formwork, and then tiles on top and brick jelly. This is for weatherproofing. So the overall roof thickness, you can see 32 mm plus 67 centimeters. 67 centimeters is the roof thickness. That's why we have resorted to reinforced concrete with weatherproofing, with brickbat or insulation. So overall thickness is only 200 mm or 20 centimeters. 1/3 we have brought it to. So types of waterproofing, we have tar felt waterproofing, which is not very good. It has failed many times. I have visited the sites where this tar felt is decayed because of the exposure to water. Next is the bitumen torched sulfate BTS membranes, physical sheet membranes, that is like Multiplas and PVC membranes, and integral waterproofing compounds. That's not very good. That is only secondary treatment or tertiary treatment. Like structure will reduce the porosity in the concrete. The crystalline waterproofing also secondary in the cover portion, or nowadays they are adding crystalline powder to the concrete to make it less pervious. Cementitious waterproofing, this is also a second preference. Acrylic based polymer coatings, good, and protective and decorative coatings, that is for structures above ground, particularly urban infrastructure, they require definite coating. And injection grouts, this is another thing. This also only to prevent after water enters the concrete, we will make it more impervious. We can do grouting from the inside actually to the rear side of the wall, retaining wall particularly. We made the holes, grout holes in the retaining wall, and we pumped the grout material to the behind the wall, and we have formed the barrier behind. So whatever gaps are there, they'll be filled with this acrylic based polymer. It is costly, but you have to do it if you have not done on the blind side. So always prefer blind side. Before casting retaining wall concrete, please apply the membrane to the rock surface exposed. Next is the bentonite waterproofing. This is mainly used for piling actually. Whenever we do piling in soils, after drilling, boring, the borehole is done, we keep applying the bentonite so that the collapse doesn't happen to the piles. And next is metal oxide waterproofing. That also is one of the materials. And sheet membrane waterproofing, APP modified membrane, EPD membranes, and PVC membranes. So these are all the sheet membrane waterproofings that are available. And concrete admixtures, that is integral waterproofing, which I was telling. Yeah, crystalline admixtures added in batching plants is not a very good thing. Actually, crystalline has started with, suppose we do the PCC, you sprinkle the powder on the PCC uniformly at some 1 kg per 10 square meters kind of usage. You sprinkle it, then when we pour the concrete, this crystalline agent will penetrate up to 100 mm thickness of the concrete in the bottom layer. That is a better method than making the entire concrete with the crystalline. Waterproofing for apartments and villas is membrane. Use the membrane, and if it is very important, go for EPD membranes actually. Next is the toilet waterproofing. So here we are seeing, I will explain more in detail because it's an important thing. We have these tile joints, we have these pipe joints which have to be treated, and then we have the skirting and flooring. Before that, we have to protect the concrete structure. Here you can see the nani trap. Here there is a nani trap and pipe puncture. So we have to do first waterproofing for the entire floor and up to this height, at least filling height, and beyond. One layer of skirting, we have to do the waterproofing, and then test this waterproofing with water ponding actually, none other than water ponding. and even 7 days we did the test. And main thing is this joint treatment for the noni trap and all. I'll share those details how to provide this waterproofing in the toilets particularly. So this is the diagram showing the extent of waterproofing, location of waterproofing, where all we have to do. So we have this podium slab, you can see this is a driveway particularly, and I'll share the details as we move forward with the photographs and the drawing. And the retaining wall, this is the outside the retaining wall waterproofing is to be done, and below the footings and below the grade slab, below the piles, caps even. So this entire layer is done. And next we have this gardening, landscape. So below the landscape also we need the waterproofing. And toilet, you can see here the entire area is waterproof. And balconies, it's very important detail for balconies. Suppose you have a door frame here, you have to give a recess for the fixing of the door frame. That means if you have concrete floor level 0 here, the door frame level you make it 25 mm minus 25 mm, and for the balcony you make it minimum minus 50 mm. So there will be one step to the door frame and next step to the flooring. So you should do the waterproofing up to the door frame edge actually. So this is very important for external doors. Otherwise the seepage source, for somebody is asking about skirting exposure, is one source is balconies actually. Whenever there is a rainfall, so there will be water entering into the structure. So we should always protect the whole structure from the water, and good plaster outside is also very important with the protective coating. And this terrace is another thing, and water tanks, underground sumps. This is the underground sump, and a water treatment plant we'll have below the ground, and a swimming pool. So all these are the sources of water. So we have to protect this structure from all these sources. Wherever the structure is exposed to the water or vapor, we have to give protection to the structure. So that is the basic ideology, design intent of the waterproofing actually. So now landscape podium. This is the detail I keep sharing in spite of repetition. At the cost of repetition, I feel it's very important to follow this treatment. Like we have a concrete substrate, we have, please don't take the brand names, whatever I would have adopted from their catalog for method statement, it is repeating. But any brand you can use it. I am not subscribing to any brand. And mainly this is waterproofing polyurea membrane, and then geofabric we have to put on top as a protection. Then sheet drain. This is very important in case of landscape, because we keep watering this landscape. So you have to collect the water through this sheet membrane and drain it through these drain cells above the geofabric layer. So this is so this is the very important thing. Next is the waterproofing for terrace slabs, roof slabs. So here, this detail also I shared earlier. Here you can see this cyan color is a waterproofing membrane. Then we have thermal insulation. Then we have geofabric above the insulation and paver blocks above that. And then this is a polymer modified mortar. And we create this Proofex above this. And then we use the aluminum termination bar, and then polysulfide sealant, and again brush bond behind. So this is the good detail you can follow for terrace actually waterproofing. And don't forget, you have to give a detail for the downtake pipes entry here. So that detail also you have to follow very carefully. So this is another detail which we have to follow for toilet, these pipes, drain pipes, SWG pipe or P-trap that is used for this. This is always better than taking down and taking out or taking through the sunken slabs. So I always Don't encourage sunken slabs in toilets. They are the most dangerous, very difficult to detail. So please detach from using this and use the grout. We see a lot of toilets because you fix the things at the last and they puncture the wall and they put the pipe and connect it and leave the joint, and this will become the biggest source water entering behind your waterproofing and entering into the structure. So that's why after cutting open you have to close from outside this gap and create the proper waterproofing barrier at the punctures. So we have to use the packing with Convextra or any GP2 grout, and Supercast you have to apply over that, and Nitobond you have to apply to the concrete, and then modified mortar you can use it for filling the corners. The waterproofing membrane should always have the smooth surface. There should not be any reentrant corners or sharp corners. So we have to use the tile laying with adhesive Nitotile grout or this one, and decorative tiles you can put on the top, and injection grout with the Cebex if required into the concrete. So these are all the details you can follow. And at the joint in the Nani trap you have to use the grout behind the pipe and then put the waterproofing completely, so that there is no, so you have to block the entire region from water entering into the structure. Next is the swimming pool waterproofing. So the people always do waterproofing up to here and leave it here. So this very important. On the pathway also we have to have the waterproofing barrier, and as I said you should have the smooth surface like this in the corner, and you should have the Nitocrete, Nitocoat here, and bedding mortar, and then Nitotile and tiles fixed, and tile grout. Tile grout is very important because that is the entrant. So next is the tar felt waterproofing, cleaning of the surface with the broom. This is the method I am explaining. Wire brush and removing the dust particles, grease oils and all that, and apply water-based primer to clean the surface with the brush, and then bitumen of type 2 grade 1 is to be melted, and then apply a coat of hot bitumen to the surface, then lay tar felt sheet and keep pressing with some wooden or hard foam. Again apply a coat of hot bitumen over the sheet and fix another tar felt sheet to make sandwich, and finally a coat of hot bitumen over second sheet. This is a 7-layer treatment when we use this bitumen, and applying reflective coating red oxide on top of the finished surface to manufacturer specification to reduce the heat attack because bitumen melts in hot temperatures. So this is the method of application. So we have this hot bitumen applied, and then layer of tar felt, and again second layer of hot bitumen. So these layers will be staggered so that the joint is not exposed. So that is an important point. Cursor size, okay. And this is on the roof sheets, old roof sheets. We apply this tar felt. This is best application, definitely not for regular terraces. For this kind of varying surfaces, this bitumen tar felt is better. And BTS membrane comes in roll form again, and need flame to install, and cutting and welding has to be precise work. This is again manpower skill dependent. So we have to test all the joint thoroughly, and the joint overlapping also is very important, and suitable for concrete surfaces, and starting at low point from the roof. That means at the downtake pipe, unroll the APP modified membrane roll once the prime coat is dried. Align the APP modified membrane roll correctly and re-roll it half in alignment before torching, and avoid shifting of the membrane while torching. Use gas burner to heat the substrate and underside to softening. So my idea is not reading this method, but I want all of you to read this method and ask for the method statement every time you install this waterproofing from the vendor, from the manufacturer, so that you should implement that method statement, so that later they cannot complain you have followed some other method. So method statement signed by the vendor, method statement signed by the supervisor, and method statement signed by the consultant. So all three, if they agree on the method that it is implemented, then the warranty will come into play. Heating shall be done on both the membranes to be overlapped and pressed firmly. So let us go to this. So this is the torched membrane being torched and spread, so that here you can see wherever you get any surfaces that are protruding out of the terrace, so you should apply to that surface also. So this is a very important method of application. And so here you can see all the rolls and torched and spread. And next is the cementitious products are probably the easiest waterproofing and cheapest material, but not a very preferable one. You can use it where it is less important, and they are readily available. So next is this cementitious waterproofing. You can see from the parapet wall top also you have to apply, and in parapet wall also you should provide the coping preferably, or slope in the top surface. Next is the crystalline waterproofing. Improves the durability of concrete structures by filling and plugging the pores, capillaries and micro cracks, and it cannot be a barrier actually. So the barrier, even after using membrane, you better have the crystallization where it is very important. That is, when the primary defense fails, this acts as a secondary defense for concrete, but primary is always very important. And then crystalline waterproofing application you can see on top of the concrete surface, then it will penetrate into the concrete also and forms a layer. Integral waterproofing compounds, they are very old method where it will fill the voids when the concrete sets. So the acrylic based polymer coatings, you can see this. So on the terrace, the acrylic based polymer coatings are applied. They are very flexible and highly durable, and they can be applied. So injection, we have these protective and decorative coatings also for exterior surfaces, for the walls, which can be applied as a paint also, and at the same time acts as a protective coating. Next is the injection grouts. So process of placing material into cavities in concrete for filling voids, stopping the leakages, and placing adhesives. I'm going to the expansion joints towards the end. I'll cover the expansion joints also. And placing adhesives, soil stabilization, and it's a mixture of water, sand, cement, and admixtures and pozzolanas. And suspension grouts, we have pure cement with water, and liquid grout or solution grout that consists of chemical products, mostly sodium silicate and certain resins. So we grout them, they will be acting as suspension grouts. So fluidity is very important, and minimum bleeding and segregation, and low shrinkage, and adequate strength after hardening, and no detrimental compounds in the grout, and the durability of the grout. These are the characteristics of the grouting material. So we do chemical grouting to control the seepage, shut off seepage or soil stabilization. Cementitious grouts, we do mass placements and structural high strength and caustic environments and high temperature areas. And we do epoxy grouting to seal cracks, and bolt anchoring we do, and where the gap is maintained less, and base plate leveling, that is for the below the base plate, and acidic environments we use the epoxy grouts. because cement doesn't work in acidic environment, and polyester grouts for bolt anchoring, and silicon grouts for smoke seals and fire stops. So these are the materials for grouting. And bentonite waterproofing is bentonite is a clay type actually, and having characteristics of cohesion, binding, and sealing and thickening, hydrated with moisture and forms an impermeable barrier, and can expand and contract infinite number of times, and can be used under structural like piles and all, below grade slab foundation, along tunnels and subwalls. And APP modified membrane, that is atactic polypropylene membrane, APP means, and EPD membrane, that is ethylene propylene diene terpolymer, that is a EPD expansion. And PVC membrane, that is another PVC sheets, HDP also can be used. And APP modified membrane, this is a technique used to cover the joints by fixing membranes. And membranes provide superior tensile strength, that is expandability, 300% and 400% people will be talking about. And additionally, with APP membranes, 2 layers of 2 different APP membranes are fixed with insertion of a breaker rod, and then whole work is veneered by covering it by brickwork and plaster, or fixed using gas burners. And then EPD membranes, I'll show the photographs definitely. And EPD membranes is 100% cured single ply roofing membrane made of ethylene propylene diene terpolymer, and this is a rubber membrane sheet which can be easily spread over the area. It provides very high flexibility and durability. I'll show this photograph. So this is a EPD membrane application, you can see in layers and with adhesive, and then 2 layers minimum. And then PVC membrane is fiberglass reinforced because of the flexibility required for the membrane, and exceptional dimensional stability and low coefficient of thermal expansion, and fully encapsulating the fiberglass reinforcement. So this is no risk of delamination or water wicking. So that is the advantage of this. So this is the sheet membrane, and then this is the protective sheet actually. So this is what I always talk about, this negative blind side waterproofing. That means if you are not putting shuttering here and pouring concrete directly, put the membrane, then put the protective sheet, then start putting the reinforcement and shuttering and pour the concrete. And this is where pile draft is there. Here you can see all the piles are done, and around every pile there will be one ring of sheet, and then so that there will be overlapping. I'll show the detail in the drawing. And this is the sheet membrane waterproofing, how we join at the joints and terminate the joints. I'll show that Becker rod. Sheet membrane waterproofing, you can see this is what always, whenever you have a pipe going through the structure, so you have to put it to the pipe and then overlap with another sheet, and then this is the main membrane. So this is a very important detail you should follow, APP membrane or any sheet membrane. So this is the joint welding actually that is being done. And this is that pile I was talking about. So put a ring and then apply the proper membrane all around and tie it tightly. So this is the sheet membrane waterproofing. Before even we should put the sheet membrane and then put the protective sheet, bubble sheet or bubble wrap or dimple sheet, and then put the reinforcement and then put the shuttering and concrete. So here you can see work in progress. Membrane, protection sheet, and then concrete is done. Concrete admixtures. As always, somebody said the concrete can be also water barrier if it is very well done. That means the mix design to reduce the porosity, that means reduce the water cement ratio, and then the concrete can be good. And we have a chemically active pore filling material, silicate of soda, aluminum zinc sulfates, and aluminum calcium chloride, but nothing to beat the membrane anyway. So tunnels waterproofing is done we have to do outside also and inside also. So this is the waterproofing layer being done on the tunnel. And then box type method, it is a very age old method. I have done some projects 25 years back, no complaint at all. So this is the, I'll show you, used only for basement or structure below ground level. Shabad stone, Quetta stone or Tandu stone in Hyderabad particularly are laid in excavated pit and over vertical surface of the concrete walls with a staggered joint. That means double box type it is called, 2 layers of stone. So here you can see, this is a underground water sump. So we have done the 2 layers of thing, and you can see here it is overlapping. The PCC, whenever you have PCC, it should go up to the edge of the PCC, and the wall, it should go above the ground level. So please note this. So this is a waterproofing drawing. So this is the box type waterproofing being done. So we put the stone layer, 1 layer and 2nd layer, and to the wall also we'll put the box type, and then you can see the shoring, and to the shoring we are putting the stone. We are literally like brickwork, 2 layers of stone. And here you can see more clearly the stone layer, 2 layers of stone with gaps filled with the non-shrink grout, preferably non-shrink grout. Use the non-shrink grout. And next is the weatherproofing. Most widely used method of weatherproofing is brickbat Koba. So whenever we don't, we have to do it. Please, no compromise on this unless it is a very low cost and people can't afford. But always use some layer of weatherproofing, at least clay tiles. You put a layer of clay tiles on top. That's very important. And so this is the detail. I always talk about slope and rainwater downtake pipe fixing and coping on top of the parapet wall and plaster, proper plaster and protective coat. And you have the concrete, and we have this cement mortar or proper waterproofing layer, polyalkaline waterproofing system here. And then we have the brickbat Koba. Yeah, box type is laborious and tedious. That's why we have shifted to membranes now, and more polymer modified membranes with liquid application. That is the fastest actually. And sprays, now we are having sprays. Brickbat Koba, to tell you frankly, for me as a consultant, it is still a challenge to give. I keep working with the best contractors, best products. Still I have problems because of the method. Ultimately, the workmen control the quality of waterproofing and weatherproofing. Particularly, the combination of these two is the bigger challenge. And you can see here, this is the brickbat Koba. So all the bricks, actually when you do the brickwork, so wastage of the brickwork can be used at the terrace. That is the main idea of this. And in north, I have come across mud fuska being done in the top terrace as a weatherproofing actually. So this is the brickbat Koba. After that, you have to, on the top cement layer, you have to put the grid lines. This is to prevent the shrinkage cracks in the cement finish in the top. This works well. And so this is the roof insulation. You can see the waterproofing membrane first, and then thermal insulation, and then we have the another layer of waterproofing. So this is the master seal. I'm using some trade names, but please don't go by this company only. And so this is the master seal waterproofing coating and coping using polymer modified mortar here. This is the haunch portion. And then we have Peripore Elastapore board. This is for insulation, PU spray foam insulation. And then we have Thermocrete on top of this. We have the Thermocrete for forming the slopes. And then we have the another bedding mortar and the stone tile we use finally as a protective layer and wear and tear layer. and then use the tile grout. This is very important again, because otherwise this becomes the source of leakage. So to prevent passage of water through construction, water stops. Now we are talking about particularly for water retaining structures, overhead tanks and underground sumps. We have to use the water bars in the construction joint for the movement of the joints. And strips of rubber are modified with the hydrophilic agent, and they swell in the presence of water or moisture, and we use also copper strips. So this is one PVC water bar which we can use. This is the brass eyelet and tied wire. You can tie it to this through the and this will increase the water path. That is the idea of this water bar. So even if the water would have entered at this construction joint, it will not allow, it will dampen the water flow actually. That is the main thing. So these are the water stops. So this is for expansion and contraction. They give this hole actually. And this is the construction joint. You can see the raft slab and the wall. In between we use the water stop here. And this is the reinforcement. And then we also use these water stops for these flange pipes. Any water tank will have inlet outlet pipes, and for those pipes we have to have, this is called puddle flange pipe. So there will be a flange, and at the flange also we have to provide the water bar. And here you can see water bar at the wall and raft joint. Now expansion joint. So this is the detail I have followed different details, but this is the best I have come across. The detail you can see, this is one terrace beam and then this is beam and terrace, and this is a gap. So somebody asked me, what is the gap in expansion joint? Normally we will follow 25 mm gap. 25 mm gap, and for that 25 mm also, here you have to see the detail, very important. Fill the gap with bitumen, but before that put a metal cradle. That means in the concrete, first concrete we pour here, suppose this is the first concrete, or if you are pouring both with a filler sheet, then put this cradle metal sheet, and then pour. So why cradle is because it should be able to expand and contract, that kind of cradle sheet. This is called cradle sheet. And then you have the weatherproofing and final tile. See this cutoff, and put the brickwork or concrete preferably, and brickwork or concrete preferably here. Raise the joint and put a RCC coping on top. You can see here the drip mold, and then to allow it to move, apply the bitumen paint on top of the thing and below the concrete slab. And you can see this is even if the water enters, the cutoff here. So this is the kind of detail you have to follow. And below the joint you have to have a AC sheet or GI sheet we use, and the gap you have to maintain because to allow it to move again. So one side will fix the screw and the other side is slotted hole, oval shaped slotted hole to allow it to move. So like a roller and hinge here. So this is a very important detail. I want everyone to use this detail for terrace expansion joint treatment. This only will work, otherwise it is likely to fail. Next is the floor expansion joint. So whenever we have the floor, so we have these floor tiles. Here also you can see mastic cradle actually. We have used the mastic cradle to allow it to move, and then put the bitumen seal here, and because it is inside I can use the bitumen, and then flat bar set in forms, and then that means before pouring concrete we put the flat bar, and to the flat bar we'll fix this mastic sheet, and then fill it with bitumen. And here you can see rubberized pad in the floor joint, so that the floor tile, it will look like continuous, and then allow it to move here with a rubberized joint. So sheet metal flashing, and then we have the rectangular ball. So please follow this expansion joint at the floor level. This is the drawing we give for the expansion joint. So this is a mastic pad, another detail, and sealant is used above the mastic pad, polysulfide sealant, and the groove is filled with sealant, and then put the protective coat with the GI sheeting. And this is another method of expansion joint, and we put a AC sheet or GI sheet below this. Next is the 2 columns expansion joint in elevation. Sectional elevation exposed faces of the columns. So this is a slotted hole you can see here, and this is the fixed hole. So you put the sheet and put the, so fixing of sheet cover or 25 mm thick expansion joint with the RAL plugs and screws with the oval shaped slot, washers 300 mm gap to be sealed using polysulfide sealant or to be approved by the consultant here in between. So you put the first the sealant and then put this, so exterior, this is the exterior treatment with a GI sheet. Next, waterproofing detail at the terrace, balconies on top, and then this is the plinth beam and flooring. So you can see even on the PCC we put the overlapping waterproofing layer. And this is the footing foundation. So here you can see we apply to the PCC first, and then on the side of the footing and top of the footing, and then pedestal and up to the ground level. And then your plinth beam and all detail will come. So this is very important. You can see the whole column. That means we are protecting the structure from all the sides, from the bottom of the footing, from the sides, and from the pedestal all around. Next is the waterproofing detail for the sumps. So for sumps, we have to have waterproofing on both the sides, on the soil side